Hi, Brent Abel here with you, and we're going to look at this point that we've been discussing with Rick Kepler, who is, again, he's out of the video right now, but he ends up coming in as the returner of serve here. And, you know, what we looked at here was this situation where Brian Thomas volleys back to him, and then Rick gets... Well, let's see, we actually stopped it right about here. And what we talked about was, you know, what is Rick going to do with this shot? And we got a lot of responses saying, you know, let's take it back to the server's feet. And, you know, I really like that choice because, you know, Brian Corey, who was right here, who was Rick's partner, I mean, he's really looking for that opportunity. And if in fact, you know, Rick plays the volley back low cross court to the server's feet, I know Brian's going to, you know, close and look for something that he can clean up on. We also had a lot of folks say, well, let's try the volley out here in the alley. And the big risk with that is that if Rick takes this and doesn't hit a winner over here, and then Rodrigo, who is the server here in the red, if he can get over here, and let's say the ball ends up in the alley, what happens here is that, you know, Brian's he's got to cover his alley, and with the angle created here, you know, Rick's got to not only look for a sharp cross court back here, but now the middle of the court just gets really wide open in here. And so that's really a risky shot. You know, the other shot that folks were saying is, well, let's go ahead and play it down the tee. And the tee looks like it's wide open. The problem is that Rick is playing what I call an outside volley, which is whatever stroke you've got. In this case, Rick's got a backhand because he's a lefty. It's the shot that you play that's closest to the alley as opposed to an inside shot, which in Rick's case would be a forehand volley. If you take this backhand volley and and the geometry, the angle to go back in here is really risky. You know, if you don't get this thing just barely above the top of the net going in this direction, you know, it's really going right here in front of Brian, and it really gives Brian an opportunity, you know, to quickly probably volley it back here in the middle. So that's not really a great choice. The other common response was, well, let's take this up the line. And, you know, it's super risky again because, you know, you do have the highest part of the net. And, you know, as I did tell you, this is going to be a waist-high ball back in here, which means that Rick's really going to have to hit up. This is a tough shot. And, you know, if he gets any kind of height on this shot up in here, you know, Brian's really got a nice, clean, easy, across-the-body type of volley with that backhand volley that's really just about the easiest volley that there is out there. So I'm not real big on that shot. And then the other choice that was real common was that Rick take a lob and try to lob it to this corner. And, you know, one of the reasons I do like that shot is even if it ends up short, you know, Rick takes this lob and ends up short to where, you know, Brian has to back up even a little bit, it's going to be a high backhand volley. And, you know, realistically, most of us don't really, you know, have that as a weapon in our arsenal where we can take a high backhand volley and do some damage. So, you know, that shot's okay too. The reality is, you know, you got to practice this stuff. You know, if you want to take a feel type of volley up and over this player, you know, you got to work on this stuff. So, you know, blah blah blah. Let's take a look here and see what Rick does, and I think you'll be interested in that he does lob, and right away we can see that Brian is not going to be able to get it. It's going to be deep enough where he's going to have to, you know, say yours. And so as Rodrigo crosses, this is a pretty tough shot he's got to play. Look at this. I mean, it's just a desperation mode shot. Let's back this up. Let's back this up for a second. What I want you to watch here is what Rick does. So, you know, Rick comes in and decides he's going to play that lob over the net player, and he's right now he's measuring what's going on with these two guys, and if there's any kind of hesitation on Brian's part here, you know, Rick's going to move in, and sure enough, this is what happens. He gets a tough ball. He gets a really tough ball that he handles. Now, you know, maybe we should stop this again and say right here, you know, where should Rick play this shot? And there's a lot of confusion over here. Actually, Brian's in a pretty good spot, but you know, Rick sort of works the ball back towards Rodrigo, who decides, you know what, these guys have got incredible court position. I'm back here behind the service line. Maybe I'll try the lob, and it doesn't really go deep enough. And you know, Rick pounds the ball away. So a lot going on in that point. And you know, I think what I'm going to do here is just let you see this in real time. And this is something that you ought to replay over and over and over again and really study it. And there you have it. So, feedback. Let me know. What do you think? You know, is this something that makes sense to you? Does it not make sense to you? You know, the one thing that I want you to think about with this is practice. I mean, this just takes a load of practice, but no big deal. You can get a practice partner out there, and you know, you can set this point up so that you are getting fed balls here from someone on this side, and you're just working that lob over that player's backhand. All right? Feedback, comments, questions right below the video. Let me know. Have a great day out there.